Higher Enlightenment, J.O. Jonathan Oliver here with Real Talk Wednesday. And what I'm really going to talk about for as being real and being honest with you today, and we can kind of talk about how do we reach this depth of being vulnerable. I give you a little exercise that can kind of help you get there. For me, it's very easy to go. For other people, it can be quite difficult. When I used to be a part of Rachel's Challenge Chain Reaction Team, we used to do this activity with the students as well as with staff and adults that was called If You Really Knew Me. It was like, if you really knew me, you would know that I am a middle child with an older brother and a younger brother. If you really knew me, you would know that all the way through school, for as long as I can remember, I always struggled with school in general. If you really knew me, and this is when you get to the real part that you don't want anybody to know, because if they knew this part about you, you would think that they may not accept you. And it would be something along these lines. And this is going to lead us into our Real Talk Wednesday. If you really knew me, you would know that I'm dyslexic. And now this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time moving forward in this Real Talk Wednesday. See, I didn't realize and learn that I was dyslexic until I was a junior in college, and I graduated from high school with honors. I struggled all the way through school. I was that kid that kind of slipped through the cracks, and it was no fault to my teachers and the educators of it all. It was just I just slipped through the cracks. I had that ability to show up in so many other gifted ways that I kind of it showed up more in test taking time, or maybe trying to remember something that I knew that I spent time and hours studying. I was a slow reader, but I had so many other ways of learning that it didn't always show up in the sense of this kid may be dyslexic. Now, when it came down to standardized tests, like when I was in school, like the TOS test, things of that nature, struggle with tremendously. I'm speaking like taking the math section 6 times, taking the writing section 7 times, taking the reading section 4 times, but I'm graduated from high school with honors. Didn't pass the TOS test until the last semester of my senior year in high school. And if I hadn't passed that test, I would have had to take it during the summer, so I wouldn't have been allowed to graduate and walk across the stage with my friends graduated from high school. So needless to say, it was a lot of mixed confusion with he does good in class, but it shows up in other areas. And this was all leading to me finally reaching my breaking point, because I was that guy that went above and beyond when it came to studying and putting in the time and effort. So fast forward into college, and how do I discover that I'm dyslexic? I'm taking genetics for the second time. I failed it the first time, and I'm a pre-med major, and genetics is one of those courses that you really need to have looking good on your transcript of doing well in if you want to get accepted into medical school. Needless to say, I bombed it the first time. So I'm taking genetics for the second time, and I'm taking the first exam of the semester, and I find myself feeling the same feelings I felt my entire life. Not only am I feeling these same feelings of not being prepared, feeling inadequate, feeling stupid, feeling slow, feeling like everybody around me is finishing before me. Now all of a sudden I'm feeling completely like an idiot, because I'm saying to myself, this lady's gonna think that I'm wasting her time, that here I am taking this course again and I haven't prepared for it, and I know that I did, but I just can't understand this exam. So I flipped the genetics test over, write everything on God's green line of earth that I've ever studied leading up into genetics on the back of this exam, turn it into her. A week later, she calls me to her office. She goes, J.O., I'm kind of confused here. Why you didn't write what you wrote on the back of the exam on the front of the exam? I said, I didn't understand what you was asking me. I didn't understand the questions. It just was clicking with me. She goes, if you would have wrote what you wrote on the back of the exam on the front of the exam, you would have been the only person to have aced the exam. And she's knowing that this is my second time taking this. So she goes, I think you may have a learning disability. I want to see you to this testing center on campus to possibly see about having a learning disability. Well, I was popular on campus, and I played college football, and I was a man, and I was in pretty good shape. I couldn't show any type of weakness. Disability, that doesn't even go into my vocabulary. So for like 3 weeks, I found where this office was, kind of scooped it out, kind of went around the corner, kind of almost went into the door, but never really quite did. And then finally, I recognized the lady behind the desk as someone that I had remember taking a reading course with, just so they can show that I was college material before I even got fully accepted into the university. and I felt comfortable with her. She felt like a safe person. So I walked in, shut the door behind me, didn't want anybody to see me, and began to just spill out everything that I've carried with me in my entire life of being 23 years old regarding education and learning. And she could tell that I was very uncomfortable, very vulnerable. You know, if you really knew me, dyslexia lets me feel extremely exposed and just out in the open. And I put all that on the table in front of her, and she, so God bless her soul, she waived all the exams, had an IQ test, whole 9 yards. 3 weeks later, I come back to her office, and she just has the hugest smile on her face. She goes, "I got great news. Know what's been going on." And I'm like, "Let me know." And she gets ready to start communicating with me, and she says, "You're dyslexic." Well, that made sense to me because I didn't know what dyslexic was. So I was like, well, I guess I must be, because that I don't know what you're saying. So let's go further. And she continues to explain what dyslexia is and how it shows up, and a whole 9 yards. And I just stop her and I look at her and I say, "I have two questions. One, am I stupid?" And she almost began to cry. She said, "You, J.O., are probably the most gifted and intelligent person I've ever met in my life." She goes, "You're so smart that you have innately taught yourself systems to learn that if you would have known earlier would have been the same systems that would have been taught to you knowing that you're dyslexic. You taught yourself how to learn and how to cope. So you're so far from stupid that you can be a freaking astronaut if you wanted to be." And I was like, okay. Number two, is this what Theo had on the Cosby Show? She's like, "Yes." And it felt great to belong to someone, to something, to have a name behind all these feelings. Now, moving forward, I've written a book. It's getting ready to come out, hopefully by the end of the year. It's in the editing stages, and it talks about me writing back to myself at where I am in life now, knowing what I know now about dyslexia. And it's called "To the Little Boy in Me," and it debunks a lot of myths about, you know, stupidity and not being smart and being lazy and not applying yourself and all these things. It's literally a different way my brain learns, and dyslexia has nothing to do with race, with age, with sex, with gender, with nothing. It's literally all within the brain, and you are extremely smart to be dyslexic. Just Google it and see how many people pop up that are dyslexic. So when people make the joke, "Oh, I'm dyslexic," you know, I got the proof, okay? And I live with it every day, and it shows up in so many different ways. Not only that, people that are dyslexic, there's a 43% chance that you have ADHD. I have that as well. All these things work in gifts and talents now, but at the time I didn't think it was so. Moving forward, as we wrap up this video, there are certain things that I just know about myself being dyslexic. I'm not that guy that can read 50 books in a year. I'm the guy that reads maybe 2 to 4 books a year. And some of it's through audio, which annoys me because I like to go through and write and highlight and star everything that I read. And most of the time, if I read something, I'm going to retain a huge amount of it because it takes me so much longer to read. Reading a book, for me, it can be very exhausting. That they have video now on LinkedIn, these videos save me so much time because I can come across as who I really truly am versus if I was trying to spend all my time writing this out. I'd rather speak for 10 minutes, crush on how I feel, what I'm connected with, than to try to write this out, because now I got to send it to my wife. She got to read it. She got to edit it. Then I got to still put it out and make sure that I'm sounding like I really want to sound with all the grammatical errors that have been corrected, where I can just do this video, hit a few bullet points, and just be who I really am. So that's just a quick synopsis, but overall, if you really knew me, you'll know that I'm dyslexic. I have ADHD. It's not something I've always been proud to talk about openly, but it's something that I own, and it's one of the best gifts that God has ever given me, and I'm so happy that I have this, and I'm able to embrace it, and I'm able to share it, and it just allows me to connect and show up in the world in a way that I don't think I knew how to show up any other way than who I truly am. So this is J.O. Jonathan Oliver with High Alignment. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.